Hi everyone, it's Iris. I'm the dyer behind the Dutch yarn barn. I'm sitting in my garden in Bremen and I'm bringing you a podcast full of natural dyeing, anything a dyer can dream of, and about knitting. I'm currently on a little parental leave because my kids are out and about, and I took the time to make a little video for you to share with you the thoughts behind the Dutch yarn barn and natural dyeing. Today I want to be introducing to you a new yarn that I've produced. That's a Dutch yarn. I will be talking about, well, let's get an overview here. I will be talking about my works in progress, what's on my needles right now. I want to be talking about the new Dutch yarn that I'm producing. I want to show you a little bit of my mini dye garden with indigo. I want to talk about the Delft Blue yarn club that I have just recently launched and closed again, but it's a really nice story. And last but not least, I want to give you a mini tour of the barn. So before we get started, my husband is currently renovating and working on the house, so now he's drilling. And excuse me if you cannot hear it, excuse me, because I do not have at this stage an extra set of microphones, so you have to bear with me on this very first video. Later on he might even grab the fräsmachine and it's creating a lot of noise, but we'll work with it. I have been thinking about creating a podcast since I think half a year, but the Dutch yarn barn is now 1 year old and it was so full of adventures and so busy that I couldn't see myself producing yet another YouTube channel, and still I had the urge to create something to share with you my thoughts on natural dyeing and yarns and anything related. So that's when I thought, well, maybe I can just do it with what I have already. I do have a small camera, I do have lots of things I want to share with you. I do not have fancy equipment and the knowledge to make beautiful clips, but, well, just enjoy it, hopefully. And if you want to support me, please do subscribe to my channel. With the button you can put on the notifications, and when you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, comment on this video down below, send me any questions, remarks that you want, and let's talk about the Dutch yarn barn. Well, how did I become a natural dyer? That's quite a story, and because this is the first video, I do want to talk about it a little bit more extensively. About I think now 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I got a really bad case of a back hernia, and I was lying on the couch in pain, and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't get up or do nice things. I couldn't work, and I was knitting. I was knitting a lot, and at that time I have had a career in singing. I have been singing all my life. That's my husband again. I have been singing all my life. I was a singer in a Bulgarian trio. I have been performing all over the Netherlands and in foreign countries, many big stages and festivals. But I now have 2 young children, and it got really exhausting. And also, my body was not the same as 15 or 20 years ago. So when you go and do stage work, it's very tough. Late hours, weekends, etc. I also sang with like a rock Balkan bands and with medieval and traditional Dutch music groups that do not exist anymore. But this is my main interest. I come from a background of singing polyphonic songs from Bulgaria, from Russia, from Georgia and Turkey. I am very interested in the Middle East sounds, the sounds you can make of any type of world vocal music, especially polyphonic or a cappella. And I'm still teaching voice, that is. And I had choirs, I did workshops. It's really a lovely and fun world, but I knew when I was on the couch I had to make a change, and I wanted to do something, and this was an old idea, it wasn't really new. I wanted to do something with yarn. And then it popped up to me that I could do something with herbs and yarn, with dyeing and yarn, because when I was young, I studied natural medicine. I studied herbal medicine in specifics, Western traditional herbal medicine and traditional Chinese, like acupuncture, acupressure, kind of. And that led me to the path of herbal dyeing, because I still have in my cupboard a set of books about natural herbal medicine remedies, and many of those are also traditional dyeing herbs. For example, the indigo or the genista, Victoria, and the curcuma, obviously, and that's another subject. Maybe that's an interesting subject to work on later, the connection between herbal medicine and traditional medicine and dyeing, herbal dyeing. But that's for another time, maybe. So that was that. I have a master's degree in in health science. So actually, in the past, I could have done the kind of work that now health publicists are doing regarding corona. What's on my needles right now? What's on my needles right now? I don't want to be faking when my heart is racing and my mind is racing. Let the soft and soft and soft and clicking sound soothe you. So, what's on my needles right now? I'll show you. At first, I was knitting on a new yarn. It's called manis. It's half alpaca. It's a bit of silk, 25% silk, and it's a bit of linen. So it's really drapey and soft as skin. It's really a beautiful summery yarn. And I was notified by Monica Moonpearl to do a test knit of a handmade wardrobe. That's her name on Instagram and her Instagram handle. And I immediately fell in love with the design. It's a bit complicated because you have 3 Fair Isle strands, and that takes a lot of time to do. But I was really pleased with it, and it fit me, it suited me. I didn't have much time to knit, but when I did, it was really fun. And I put it on I think a 3.7, 3.5 needle, and went up a needle gauge to do the ferra. I went down a needle to do the tricot, but on the bottom I made a mistake. So what happened is I just forgot to change back to a bigger needle. And as you know, that fair I always the yarn pulls the fabric together a little bit, so you need to go up a needle, and I didn't. And on top of that, I was a bit eigenwijs, we'd say in Holland, and I wanted to change from a size, I think a size 2 to a size 1 on the bottom, to give it a V shape, like in a 50s, like a small sweater from the 50s. I like that triangle shape. But if you go down from one size 2 to size 1, you decrease, obviously. So I decrease on the sides, but if you don't go back to a bigger needle and you decrease too much, yeah, you don't fit the end result. So the end result is suitable for my daughter on the bottom. I can wear the top very, very prettily. I love it. So this is a project that I had already finished, and now I'm not so satisfied with the fit. I do love the drape and the colors, so I just have to undo, unpick, unravel before I can go on. Yeah, so that's the story with Manis. I used ochre at heart and pebbles and like a coral Coachella coral, and they're very nice. It's with turmeric, and this is avocado, modified avocado, and this is madder and turmeric and something else, secret. So they're my own yarns. I loved to use them. They're really, really nice and soft. But yeah, I can't wear it. Not yet. I have to redo. And I don't want to give it to my daughter because she plays around in her sweaters and they get torn and used a lot, but dirty, and no. I will knit her something else from a more sturdy yarn, and probably a winter sweater. Now there's another thing on my needles, or maybe first I show you my works finished object. So this is a Kitty Cat, a small like a spring summer scarf where you don't need much. You just use one skein of yarn, and when you look at it, maybe I hold it still. There's this lovely kitty cat paws. The paws, they are walking up and down, and the little hearts on the bottom. And I was so happy with this shawl because it was the very, very first time that a designer, her name is Suzanne Fils from La Fils Designs, made a shawl pattern with my yarn, and it's specifically made for my Dutch tesselaar. So it's quite to most people it would be too textural or scratchy, other people would say. I'd say textural, but it doesn't bother me. I'm the one who can wear this Icelandic type of yarns or the rough yarn on my skin. It doesn't bother me even in my neck, and other ones would prefer to make this from a softer yarn. I understand that, but I'm so happy with it. It was, well, one skein, 100 grams, hop, and I have to reblock it because then you get these really lovely points at the bottom. So that's that one. And I'm wearing the, well, you recognize it, from Caitlin Hunter. The, what's the name? You help me on that, please? I just got a blackout. No idea what the name is, but you recognize the design. It's by Boylan Knitworks. And it's knitted up by my own yarn, again, in organic merino. And that's such a lovely sweater yarn. It knits up really quickly because it's sport weight. And usually you would make more winter or autumn, fall sweaters with it. And in this case, I made a spring short sleeve sweater, and I really enjoyed the knit. It was a quick knit. It's a small size, so no, the size is I don't know, size 2 or 3, but it's a small sweater. That's what I meant. And it knits up really quickly. It's not so difficult. If you are familiar with Fair Isle, you'll quickly get your way around. The one thing is that this is a top-down sweater, and you knit short rows at the back. And when I did that, I was exactly on gauge with my tricot, and I was exactly on gauge with the Fair Isle part. But still, I didn't like the shape of the top neck, because it went down like this, and I thought, wow, I'm not shaped like this. Hi, I'm back again. So yesterday I recorded this whole section about my new yarn and a work in progress, but unfortunately my camera died on me. It was a nice section though, but it was completely overexposed, so I decided it was better to do a retake today instead of using a completely overexposed video. Hopefully next time I will fix those technical issues. It's all a big learning process for me, and I really do want to get out of the perfectionist mindset of having everything to be very perfect before I can send out a message or anything, because life isn't perfect. And that's why I'm just doing it again, and if it's not perfect again, I will use this one anyway. But now for a very exciting news. To me it is exciting because I've been working on it for a year now, not continuously, but the process was a year. Um, maybe first I tell you a story of how my very first locally sourced Dutch yarn came alive. When I started the Dutch Yarn Barn 1 year ago, straight away I knew I wanted to work with Dutch yarn, because how can you have a Dutch yarn barn without Dutch yarn? The thing is that here in the Netherlands we do not have a wool culture anymore, I should say. We have local breeds, we have very good sheep, but they're not, for example, in the UK, that's a wool country par excellence. We don't have luster breeds or long wools. We have sheep that go to the heather. Well, they I don't know in English. Heathered. They have very rough, very rustic, totally hairy Kemp hair fleeces. And then you have a lot of meat sheep that are 100% meat sheep that are not kept for fleece. And there are some of the multi-purpose breeds. They were kept for milk, they were kept for meat, and in traditional times they were also kept for fleeces. And those are, for example, very well known is the Tesselaar. And Texel is a small wooden island. It's an island on the North Sea coast, and maybe I should point this way because you will see it in reverse. On the North Sea coast of the Netherlands, and then Germany, and then Denmark, there's a series of small islands. Well, probably comparable to the Shetland Islands, but not as rough a climate. I'm sorry, my husband is starting to renovate and construction work again. So I hope you can understand, you can hear what I'm saying. I think I'll take a small break and come back to you in a sec. So my husband agreed that he'd take a small break so I could do this filming in between, and so that's how we alternate now. Both working from home, he as well as I do, and the kids homeschooling. You have to, find a way to get your work done. So he's taking a break. I'm filming right now. How did I get here? All right. So 1 year ago, when I started the Dutch Yarn Barn, I knew I had to work with Dutch Tesselaar. That was the best option for a Dutch yarn, a beautiful Dutch yarn. Also because traditionally, I will show it to you, Tesselaar yarn is used for the North Sea fishermen's ganzies or guernseys, how you call them, with the traditional, very tight knit and purl patterns in various tones of indigo blue. I will show you the traditional yarns. This is Tesselaar 100%, and I think I love it. I mean, it is rustic. It is a very authentic yarn. It's a farm yarn, but it's surprisingly soft to work with. I like it to work with, and it keeps you warm. I was camping the other day in Hemelvaart weekend, and it was cold. We had nights of 0 degrees, and I was walking around with my Tesselaar shawl wrapped around my head and sleeping in it, and it did a really good job. So that's why I suppose the fisherman jumper, it's for a reason, a good reason, that they use these sturdy yarns. However, I've experienced that many knitters that I meet in festivals and in the Netherlands or abroad, they are not used to these types of yarn anymore. They are perceived as being scratchy, and we're being a little bit spoiled with 100% ultrafine merinos and cashmeres and silks. Of course, it's lovely to work. I love to work with squishy, soft yarns. But these ones, they have a different character. They have a different life, I would say. They are working yarns. When you make sweaters with these, they are completely sturdy to go out and work in your garden or be protected from rain and snow and cold, anything like that. And it was then I decided I need to get a really good fleece from the Texel sheep. So how to proceed? Because you see, in the Netherlands we do not have a grading system like in the UK, where they have so many breeds and people that are trained as wool graders that can sort out the best quality fleeces from any and every breed. In the Netherlands it's not so. The wool is considered a byproduct from the sheep. In the previous years, traditionally, long time ago, our multi-purpose breeds were kept for milk and meat and fleeces, but nowadays it's not the same anymore. The sheep are mostly kept for their meat, And there are also conservation troops within nature reserves, and they keep specific sheep breeds, but they are not kept for fleeces, they are kept for nature preservement. So these fleeces are also very rough. And the milk and the meat farmers, they shear their sheep once or twice a year, and the fleeces are discarded, they're disposed of. They are collected all together, and they're not graded. So what you get is the best quality lamb's wool ends up together with old and tattered fleeces that are broken or completely unsuitable for making yarns. So after working with these, I knew there could be even a better Dutch yarn, and that would mean for my yarn barn, it could mean that I could make something that was Dutch but more accessible to more knitters. Because we're not used to wearing this anymore, I thought it must be possible to upgrade a Dutch yarn, a Tesla for example, and create a modern style heritage yarn. So what I did was I contacted sheep shearers, and with one in particular last year, we rounded up a couple of very beautiful fleeces of young first year lambs, eerste scheers, first shearing, and I personally graded the fleeces into a white category, from white 100% tessellaar, and gray fleeces, really fine, from a beautiful blue tessellaar. That's a sub-race, or not a race, breed. Pedigree? Yes, I think so. It's distinct. They have this white and blue, gray patches on their head, and they're light gray to dark gray. So these two, plus very, very beautiful zwartbles. And the zwartbles sheep are also kept in England for their fleeces, and not so much so here in the Netherlands. They originate from the Netherlands. I do not know whether they come from the north. I think it was northern sheep, but the Netherlands is very small, so we do not have large geographic differences in the countryside. The zwartbles is dark Havana brown or to black, going to black, and it has really nice long staple with a lot of crimp. So it's really suitable to make a dark yarn, but when you use a white, a gray, and a black one, and you mix it in, you get this beautiful heathered effect. And then I thought, yeah, that's really nice to make a heathered yarn from Dutch sheep. But then I had another inkling, and I thought maybe I should make it a tiny bit more soft and squishy. So that's when I decided to mix a 25 baby alpaca into the blend. And I'm going to proudly present to you right now, da 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 da, my very first Dutch limited edition yarn. The name is Dijk. And what does it mean? Dijk. Dijk is the waterway, the dikes that are keeping and holding the land safe from the water. They are very strong, they are very sturdy, and they are very Dutch. So these dijken are a stronghold for our living here in the Netherlands. This is Dijk, and I'm going to come up to the camera because I want you to see the heathered quality of this yarn. It is spun in a DK 232 meters for 100 gram, and you see it's really nice and squishy. I love the twist. It's slightly irregular, but still it's regular. So how to spin it? I found a really lovely couple in Flanders, Belgium, and they have an mini mill. It's an eco-friendly, environmentally friendly mini mill that runs with solar power and a lot of water recycling, just like I do in the barn. And we immediately connected on that subject, on that way of thinking, in how you want to work with your business. So in the Netherlands we do not have a mill anymore. When you want to spin your yarns, you have to go to either Belgium, Flanders, or Germany, or to the UK, which is actually really close. All three of them are really close, and it's to me it was just the best connection with Tumulus in Belgium. So we went there, and I used their baby alpaca, because they are a long time alpaca breeders for, I think, the second generation now, and that's why they started their alpaca farm, spinning mill, I mean. And I'm so proud of it. I'm really happy, and I sincerely hope that in this summer there will be some yarn festivals. It was really sad that they all got cancelled, but you know, that's life. Now, this summer, I hope there will be some, or in the autumn, there will be some yarn festivals where we can meet. I hope to see you there, and you have the chance to get your hands on it and just feel how squishy it is, and that farm yarn can be a really good, soft alternative to a mass-produced yarn, anonymous yarn. I will show you the swatches that I made with my yarn. You can see the slight irregularity on the You can see the slight irregularity. This is on a 4mm needle, and the heathered appearance just very slightly, and that's from the baby alpaca and the zwartbles. Very, very subtle. I will show you on a 3.75. You get a real good decay gauge, about 22, 23 stitches depending on your hand, and it's really, really nicely spun. Look at that. Look at that. And then I did this swatch in cabling. Let me do it very slowly, because I have no idea how the camera is focusing. I will just do it a bit on either side. Can you see the relief? Isn't it nice? This is the swatch I made for the Dion sweater by Natasha Hornby. She is a Dutch designer, well known to many of you as Moonstruck Knits, and I will show you the beginning of my new work in progress. Now, I'm very proud of this one. It was in the middle of Corona I started this, and my mind, I couldn't, counting was so difficult. So the tubular cast on, I think I did it 3 times, 4 times, and then there was always 2 stitches, 4 stitches, too few, too many, but I managed to get over that hurdle, and look at it. I'll just show you a little close-up of the structure of the sweater, and I think it's a real clever design. The shape is top down, but instead of making this circular increasing, circular increases with like a peak, something like that. She makes increases like a saddle shoulder first. That's this first part. This is increased, but only in that way. And then you go down, and then the increases become like a raglan. From here, the raglan goes to the onset of the ribbing and continues down through the cable panel, and it's integrated in the cable panel. So for every size you have a different increase rate, but it still is a beautiful line, and I'm convinced that this will fit really, really nicely once it's blocked. So yeah, that's all for my work in progress right now. I don't have another work in progress on my needles, but yeah. Now this patch is going to be a new dyer's garden. It's not that big, but I cannot do a large garden right now. And we took out all the flowers that were here. We have them elsewhere in the garden too, so that was not a problem. And I sowed 2 rows of indigo. I sowed them directly into the soil. One large row is here. That's the polygonum from Japan. It's a Japanese genus family of plants that gives the Japanese indigo its quality. And behind that, at the other stick end, I sowed 1 row of European woad, Isatis tinctoria. And I really do hope they will both germinate and grow into indigo plants that I might be able to use this year as an experiment to see if I can firstly dye with the raw indigo, make indigo balls, or do direct dyeing with indigo, and to see what the difference is. Secondly, what is the difference between the European Isatis tinctoria and the Japanese polygonum? I am really, really excited about this project. I am hoping that they will all germinate, and for now I think I have to get weeding. on the side, all around, I soak a very small amount of tagetes. What's it called? Not Goldilocks, not gold. It's a gold Afrikaantje in the Netherlands. We call it Afrikaantje. But that's also a small orange flower that is used for dyeing as well. You can do direct dye, bundle dyeing with tagetes. Hi, in this section I want to give you a small tour of my workshop. Welcome to the barn. Come inside. So when you enter, first you see how large it is. It has a very high ceiling. I think the barn is the same age as the house, and the house was built in 1928. So probably the barn is from the same time, and it was built as a workshop for, I will do a step back, it was built as a workshop for a carpenter. So the built-in worktop and space, they're really, really nice. You can feel the vibe of generations of craftsmen having worked here. We have three large, very large windows. They are, let me see, north facing, but still, no. Anyway, they give so much light. There's no direct sunlight, but there's a lot of light on this side of the workshop. On this side, you can see on the left side when you enter, I have a long worktop. I built it from scrap materials, from recycled materials, and it's made from the same wood that was left over from a renovation of our what is going to be our new kitchen. And I just put together the pieces that I could use, elongated it until it's now about 4 meters. And behind let me show you, yeah, this is the counter. And then behind this, there's the start of the old workshop top. That's another 3 or 4 meters. So we have one long worktop. But this is the dyeing unit. And I have over here, let me show you. On the ceiling, I have fixed a wooden beam. Yes, a wooden beam. And I hooked up eyelets, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, to secure a rope that can act as a pulley system, so that when I take out yarns from large pots like these, for example, this one is a 100-liter pot, and it can contain up to, I think, maximum 5 kilos of yarn in one. This one is also very large, about 3 to 4 kilos of yarn in, and that when the yarn is wet, it will become very heavy. So I need to protect my back and at the same time be able to dye a good quantity of yarn. And the pulley system is very simple and it's so effective. I'm so happy that we did that. It's, you see, you just buy some simple bolts from your local what's it called, shop, and you fix it to the ceiling. I've used jute. This is like sisal, a natural rope, and now you see 4 units over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. The large pot I want to put on the 5th spot, that is here. Now there's only a small electric cooker that I use for making extract or anything small with iron, for example. But I want to fill this space with a large pot, and that's possible. So then I have 5 large units over here. And with what do we fuel it? Well, it's half of it is electricity. You can see these pots, and that one over there is electricity, and the other ones are biogas, so 1 and 2, and I have put them down here. So you can see it's a green gas. Well, the bottle is blue, but it's a biogas 100%. So we aim and strive to be as free from electricity as we can, and use less of it. You see the large pot. Underneath the large pot you see a small cupboard with other pots that I use for extracting. Then over here, so there's another cooker, and I use that one for molting my yarns. Either that or extracting and dyeing. There's some more pots down there. Okay, so if you go down to this side, there is obviously a washing machine and a dryer, but here there's a very large washing basin that I have collected secondhand somewhere from. It was used to like a veterinary clinic, to wash animals, to wash dogs, etc. So it's very large, and what's so cool about it, I have 2 taps right here. This one is ordinary tap water, and now this one, when we built our garden here, we made a well in the garden, and when I put on the pump, that's on, but it's not on right now, then I can use well water on this tap, and that's really cool, because then we have rainwater, well water, and this is the drinking water. So I try to avoid using too much of this, and instead using well water. When you start dyeing, you cannot always do that because of the iron in our the iron content is very high, but I'm now too much in detail, I think. Okay, on the other side, on the left was the workshop top. In the middle there's a mixing station, and well, you need a lot of counters to work on. And behind that you can see shelving, so much storage, and you really need it, because I have so much storage now used for example, packing and cardboard, but also for yarns. And look at it, the yarns and the boxes are going up to the ceiling, and that's 3 meters high and a half, I guess. So in the back there's some yarns, some boxes. I keep my natural pigments in a box and in plastics. In this one you can't really see it, but it is here. And in this storage space, some of the luxury yarns, and all of the things I need, bases and acids, alkalis, loog and zuren, because you need to change pH, etc, etc. And then there is another, oh yeah, and these yarns are here in plastic to protect them from dust. They have been mordanted already. So now there's a much loved little cupboard here that I fill with all the things I need, like nets for washing and rinsing, all kinds of clasps and clamps and plastics, and we reuse everything. This is the glove section for my indigo gloves. They're so cool. Look at that. really nice and blue. And these are even bluer. So, oh yeah, maybe I'll show you my indigo vat, and then this tour is finished. Okay, so over here, now, at this moment I have only one vat. I think in the summertime I will start an organic vat. This is not an organic. I think, have to start the organic vat very soon. This is a vat with the indigo is organic though. I'll tell you about organic vats in another video. So this is my indigo, and it has to be stirred every day a little bit. Let me put on the lid. Okay, so that's it for now, and I'll see you in another section. In this section, I want to tell you a little bit about my inspiration for the Delft Blue Yarn and Tea Club. And there's a little story behind the Delft Blue that I've shown you on the pictures in Instagram. What I originally started was with my old teacup, and I thought, wow, it's really pretty. It has this wonderful, lovely design, and the patina is, after being so old, it's really lovely. And you can see the craftsmanship in painting. It's all done in one stroke in a beautiful traditional motif. In our house we have a Delft Blue tile, this one, that depicts a motorcycle. I think you can see it well. And I didn't know where it came from. It was lying around the house for quite a while, and it's really well done. It's really with one stroke, really prettily painted, and it's a true Delft Blue tile, but a motorcycle. And still it was old, so I didn't know where it came from. But I used it as an inspiration for the Delft Blue Yarn Club, together with my old pottery. And when I did that, my husband's family, they told me the story behind the tile, and even my mother-in-law, she didn't know the story. It's really nice. My husband's oerpake, that means great-grandfather in Frisian, he and his family owned a company for electrical appliances, and this was at the time before the Second World War, so people didn't have electricity, people didn't have motorcycles, they didn't have cars. In Friesland there were maybe 10 or 15 cars, and my husband's family owned the first one, a T Ford. And also they imported a motorcycle. Now the oerpake's son, so that's the my gosh. Anyway, the great-grandfather and the great-grandfather, he was driving around on this motorcycle and by car to deliver recharged batteries to give electricity to the first radio phones that existed. And before the First World War there was nothing, no electricity. The first radio phones worked with Morse codes and signs, like telegraph signs, not even music or interviews or anything like that. So it was a completely different era. And I imagine that my my Oerkwaker's family, that the young boy, he was only 16 and he drove around on a motorcycle that nobody else had, and he drove around in the car. I think he must have felt king of the road, because you're young, you want to drive fast, and there you are, working for your family. And this tile was made in Makkum, the Makkum, probably the Tichelaar factory, because Tichelaar is a royal warrant, and since, I don't know, 1500 something, ancient, 5 centuries of history, they're famous for changing the old tradition and using it for new. This is a commemoration tile for my husband's family, to celebrate the fact that they had the first one, the first motorcycle and car. And it is such a lovely, beautiful, detailed picture. Let me try and get it there. Can you see it, the details? You can see the small things in the motorcycle. I don't know what they're called, but carburetor or anything. You can see anything, everything. So the craftsmanship and the detail that's in this old pottery, that's what fascinated me. On the other hand, the blue, original blue, Delft Blue, was made with indigo pigment, indigo paint. And at least the indigo color, it has been used by dyers all over the world for millennia, not centuries, millennia. And to make a connection with yarn, I decided it would be really lovely to pair a new teacup inspired by the old tradition, showing you old style pottery in a new form, and then dyeing a skein of really luxurious and God certified organic yarn in a deep indigo blue, layer over layer over layer, I think at least 3 layers. That was the inspiration behind the Delft Blue Tea and Yarn Club. So I hope you enjoyed this little story and this beautiful tile. The new cup design is made by Debbie Wijskamp. The design, she's a designer that lives in the Arnhem fashion district, and she does also make a beautiful sculptural artwork with recycled paper pulp. But this one is in collaboration with the Delft Blue factory Heinen, and it's a stunner. I really love it. So I'm going to combine all of my old Delft Blue with my new Delft Blue. So guys, this was it. I hope you enjoyed my very first podcast. I'm sorry if the recording quality or the sound quality is not really up to par, but hey, I've got to work with what I have, and it doesn't stop me from bringing you a small, hopefully enjoyable and informative podcast. If you liked what you see today, please subscribe to my channel, and you can put on the notifications. I intend to bring out maybe 8 or 10 podcasts this year, in a year, and I don't want to be stressed out about it, so I'll just see how it goes. Hopefully next time quality will be better. Maybe I got some help or whatever. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye.